Hello gamers and future friends. This next review comes from the request from my #1 subscriber, my wife. Recently, my wife discovered a game where the developer said that they hand drew a game that took them 7 years, which we both thought was pretty cool, so decided to check it out. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Master Pupil. I would like to start by saying the developer did not paint these paintings. When I came across my first painting, I was stunned at how good it was, and that's going to make some sense in a second. But I was blown away, and I assumed this is what the developer meant by it took them 7 years to paint, until I saw the signature at the bottom and realized that these were painted by the legendary Claude Monet. I think you've all heard of Monet, at least from this movie scene.
It's true, but I'm not used to working in such horrible conditions. Monet.
Do you know his work?
Of course. Look at his use of color here, isn't he great?
I know, it's extraordinary.
So, once I realized these were Monet's paintings and not the developers, I tried to do some digging and figure out what they meant by hand drew the game. And what I found is that they hand drew basically everything that wasn't a Monet painting. The background, the terrain I'm walking on, which is still pretty cool. I think it's awesome for someone who appreciates fine arts to put us in a world they created. And creating a game in the world of your painting is pretty cool, but if that wasn't enough to sell you on it, I think a perfect description is Limbo in a Monet painting. The game was great in its own way. Gameplay wise, there wasn't much. Keep in mind, it is just a puzzle game. Puzzles were never too difficult. I never spent longer than 5 to 10 minutes on a puzzle, which may sound like a lot of time, but when you factor in that you have to run around to get to specific locations, you begin to see it takes less time actually solving them. I did get soft-locked in a way where if I died, this ball would not be where it needed to be, so I would have to reboot the game to bring it back every time I died, which was a bit frustrating, but since the puzzles were never too challenging, I only ever had to do this about 2 or 3, maybe 4 times. Puzzles consist of needing to pass by these color-sucking path blockers, I guess you could call them. You needed to color yourself with the same color as the path blocker. They would then sort of suck the color out of you and then go away so that you could pass. There would be colorful mist that you would need to jump through to become that color, or you would need to mix colors to become the right color. For example, if the color needed is purple, you'd need to collect blue and red together, and the same goes for all other colors like green or orange. However, if you mix too many colors together, you will create black and your character will die. Colors can also be created by rearranging the locations that the mist is blowing to connect and create a color with the combined colors of the two mists. I only ever saw one enemy type that just sort of walked around. These are easily able to be jumped over and sort of just add obstacles throughout your journey, and that's about the extent of gameplay. I also don't want to mislead you with the intro. The music you heard was not the soft background music this game very much needed. The game's angle, I think, should have been to capture a peaceful, meditative state to the player, one that allows the player to distance themselves from the world and appreciate fine art, possibly add the sound effects of wind, trees, leaves falling, to help present the viewer with a complete transformation from real world to one the painter wishes to take you to. However, for some reason, with every painting, the developer thought it would have been a good idea to give the player this sound. So, with the scenery, the ability to be in the painting, I didn't want to feel like I was in an art gallery. So after the first few puzzles, I muted the game and took it to Spotify for peaceful melodies, and I'm happy that I did. Because it allowed me to go into that meditative state. It allowed me to be more in-depth with the painting to a point I almost cried when I came across Monet's painting of sunset and was able to perfectly recreate the iconic scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you decide to pick up this game, please mute it as there is nothing to hear and apply your own peaceful background music. Might I recommend the song Lay Lady Lay, beautifully covered by Magnet. In the end, I highly recommend this game with the assumption you will mute it and add your own music that will allow you to experience it the way I did and in a more enlightening way. It isn't every day the greatest paintings are presented to me, and even when they are, I tend to take them for granted and brush them aside. I would like to thank not only the developer for bringing these forward to me to experience, but also to my lovely wife for recommending it, as I most likely wouldn't have discovered this hidden gem on my own. At one point, this wasn't just a game to me, it was a much needed break from life, as the past few weeks I've had have been very difficult on me and my family, so I thank you both for that. And that does it here, gamers and future friends. I hope you all have a wonderful day.